Hello everyone, I am BBD from the Versus video series, and today, for some reason, they brought me back to do something a little different, unboxing. I'm going to be unboxing this Duel Deck Anthology box we have right here, not to be confused with the actual set anthologies, which sucked. This box actually looks like it's pretty awesome. It has a collection of 4 different Duel Decks in it, and a lot of those Duel Decks are worth more than this entire box is, so pretty sweet product, and I'm excited to dig into it and see what we got inside. We are here with the box, and as you can see, this is a big box. Like this box is actually bigger than I am, and I'm fat. So this is a pretty enormous box here, and it's actually kind of cool because it's actually like foiled. I don't know if you can kind of see it's kind of reflecting a little bit. So I don't think I've ever seen an actual foil box before. So that's kind of cool. But enough about the box. Let's see what we actually got inside of this box. If I can actually open it, which no guarantees, you may have to wait, another 15 minutes for me to get inside this thing. They certainly made this box child-proof, and I am certainly a child, so they did a good job with it. All right, we finally got this plastic off, so let's see what we got here. All right, there's a little insert about the box, but let's go ahead and open it up and see. All right, so, okay. That's really cool how they laid it out. So they have all the different Duel Decks here, but they each have their own, like, unique boxes. Like, there's an Elf box and a Goblin box, and some dice here as well that have the, I guess, Duel Deck Anthology symbol on them. But I'm actually just going to start with these Elf and Goblin box. So we'll start with the Elf box, which I think this Elf versus Goblin Duel Deck was like the original Duel Deck, and I think it's actually just the coolest Duel Deck too. This is my favorite out of all of them because Elves and Goblins are just like the iconic creatures of Magic. So making an Elf versus Goblin was just kind of like felt like a no-brainer to me, but it's still just the coolest one. So let's go ahead and look at this Elf deck here. And like the first thing that I see is that they reprinted all these cards with like the new border. So they now all have like, the little foil special thing that all the new cards have. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So kind of the marquee cards for this Elf versus Goblin deck is that like the Elves have Ambush Commander and the Goblins, a little bit of spoiler, have Siege Gang Commander. So it's like the two different commanders like battling off against each other, which I think is kind of cool. But yeah, other than that, we got, all right, so there's, they have the Elf and the Goblin tokens in the Elf deck. That's kind of weird. I wonder which one of these Elves makes these Goblin tokens. But let's go ahead and flip through here and see some of the cool cards. Elvish Harbinger, or however you pronounce it. Imperious Perfect. I remember when that card first came out. People were like, yeah, this card seems pretty cool. And then it just kept going up and up in value. So it ended up being a lot better than everyone thought it was going to be. But definitely a really sweet Elf Lord, I guess you can say. Same with Ren's Run Vanquisher. I actually started playing Magic around Lorwyn, so these cards all have special significance to me. Elvish Promenade as well. And then, Giant Growth. Almost as good as Ancestral Recall, some would say. And then, yeah, they really took a lot from Lorwyn here as well with like these Moonglove extracts and things like that. So, yeah, that's the Elf deck. It's pretty sweet. A lot of basic forests, if that's your jam. They actually kind of look foily, even though they're not foil. It's kind of weird. They're just the way they look, but kind of interesting. Let's go ahead and look at the Goblin deck and see what that one looks like. All right. I wonder if this Goblin deck has Elf tokens in it. That would be pretty awesome. Just a little reversal. And there's a Siege Gang, which it looks like the Siege Gang commander has alternate art. I'm guessing the Ambush Commander probably does as well. I actually don't know that much about what Ambush Commander looks like normally, but I have played a lot with Siege Gang Commanders, so I know that this does not look like a normal Siege Gang Commander, so that's kind of cool. If we can get this wrap off. All right, so I think Goblins are the coolest tribe in Magic. They're not my favorite, but I think they're the coolest because they're just kind of like the don't really care tribe, where they're the joke tribe, I guess I should say. They're just all the joke tribe. Like Ib Halfheart Goblin Tactician, one of my favorite goblins just because of his flavor text. Everybody but me, charge! Just like, I don't know. I just think it's so awesome that they're all like really dumb and just do wild stuff. They do wild stuff. So yeah, we have a Siege Gang Commander here with alternate art. A bunch of other awesome stuff here. Gem Palm Incinerator, that was a really big one in the Legacy Goblin deck. Same with Goblin Matron, Goblin Ringleader, War Chief as well. These were all, even Mog War Marshal, these were all super staples in the Legacy Goblin deck, so that's kind of cool. They're in here as well. I noticed that we have Reckless one, and then the Elf deck also had Heedless one, so a bit of a back and forth there between the two decks to see who's the one. I guess there can only be one, I guess. And so then we have the lands here. Yeah, these mountains kind of look a lot like the forest did. They're kind of like darker than normal. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, that's Elves and Goblins, which I think are probably the coolest dual deck. Also the most expensive dual deck too. Just as a heads up. And then the next one they printed was, I guess, Jace versus Shandra, which they've printed this one a bunch of times, so I'm not going to really dwell on it too much. I know they printed a Japanese version that has like an anime Shandra art. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, this Jace is kind of like the poster boy for Magic, so they're going to want to print him as often as possible. And then Shandra just is kind of there, I guess. I think that maybe they'll do Jace the Mind Sculptor versus something dual deck sometime. That would be pretty sweet. I would really get into that one. So this one we have good old Guile, which little known fact, he's my favorite Street Fighter Magic card. So I don't know if there's any other ones, but he's definitely my favorite one. Ancestral Vision, which has been actually saw a lot of play in Legacy. It's banned in Modern, so it's pretty powerful cards here. I will say one thing I really like about the Jace versus Chandra deck is it's like just super powerful. It's just like all these busted Magic cards. So for a dual deck, you really get your bang for the buck. Like there's some seriously busted Magic cards like Air Elemental, Aether Snipe. All right. In reality, there's like Daze, Counterspell, Repulse, Factor Fiction, Gush. This is was banned in Vintage or restricted in Vintage for a while. It's just super powerful card. Just a lot of awesome blue cards here. We have like some counterspells, some card drawing, pretty much some standard blue stuff, and then a bunch of lands and a terrain generator as well. So sometimes you got to generate some of that terrain. All right, let's go ahead and look at what Chandra's got. So I know the Jace deck's just insanely powerful. It's just, so let's see if the Chandra one can match up on the power level as well. Because like I think it's funny that they just like made the blue deck just some of the most powerful blue cards. So the red deck just has to be also just super powerful to even compete. And actually it is kind of, there are a lot of some of the best like red cards in this deck too. So this is probably the most powerful dual deck. You got Chandra, and then a couple of other things like Demon Fire, Hostility, Rakdos Pit Dragon. I like the fact that you have Guile versus Hostility in this deck. Just two of the Lorwyn incarnations just battling against each other. But yeah, so we do have some of the powerful red cards though. I guess they're really deep in here, like Flame Tongue Kavu, probably just like the iconic red creature for killing things. Really just dominated Standard when it was in Standard. Ingot Chewer just really dominates Living End in Modern. I don't even know where I'm going with that. Firebolt has seen a lot of play. Incinerate's just like one of your classic like core set burn spells that you just see all the time. Magma Jet, really powerful. Actually reprinted in Standard now, but was kind of like, I think it was like a $3 or $4 card before that point, just because of the ability to, how good Scry is. I remember Flame Javelin came out and everyone was going crazy because at that point, Char was like the best burn spell for 3 mana for 4 damage, and then Flame Javelin was 3 mana for 4 damage with no drawback, and everyone was just going crazy about it. Cone of Flame ruined many of my M15 drafts, and then we have Fireball and Fire Blast, and Fire Blast is probably the most powerful burn spell in here. But Fireball is definitely the most iconic, just one of the original burn spells from the original Magic. So a lot of cool stuff here. And historically, red decks have been able to do well against blue decks because you can just burn them out, and it doesn't matter how much card advantage they get if they die. So that's kind of the theme of Shandra for this one. Next we have Divine versus Demonic, or as I like to say, D versus D. It's the old D&D box set here. And I'm going to go ahead and open the Divine one. Start with that, where I like... This is really just like one of the cooler box sets, or one of the cooler duel decks, because it's like two of people's favorite tribes. Like angels are probably the most popular tribe in Magic, and then it's just like, then there are a lot of people who are just like angel haters because everyone loves them. So then they get like the demons and stuff as well. So I don't know, it's really cool, like dichotomy between the two. And this one's just awesome because it has a chroma in it, and I started playing Magic in Time Spiral, and they reprinted a chroma in the set, and I remember just being like, holy crap, this card is just insane. So it's just really cool. Like, this is just like the big angel. When you think of a big angel, like Sarah Angel's probably the iconic one, but this is like the big one. So it's really cool that there's just a foil chroma, and now it has the new border as well. We have Twilight Shepherd, Rhea Dawnbringer, and Luminous Angel, some of the rares here, and then just a bunch of other basically angel type cards, like, you know, Angel of Mercy or whatever. I remember that being a big core set one. Sarah Angel just being kind of the you know, eponymous angel, I'm not sure the right word. And then Faith's Fetters, which is just one of my favorite removal spells of all time. So angel deck's pretty cool. Let's see what we got in the Divine versus Demonic deck here, or the demonic side of the Divine versus Demonic. It's my boy Lord of the Pit, which I remember I actually won the release event when 10th edition came out with this card. Not because I was playing it, because my opponent had it, and I was tapping it down every turn with Icy Manipulator. But just one of my early Magic memories is good old Lord of the Pit. And there's just this deck's just all about super power level. It's basically like defines, you know, what it means to be a black deck. Just all these like huge powerful effects where you're, you know, paying life and doing awesome things. You know, Reaver Demon, Kuro Pit Lord, etc. We got some spirits in here. I'm guessing those go with the Angel deck. I don't know why they threw them in here, but yeah, this deck's more my jam. I'm more of a play black cards. We got Stinkweed Imp. That's kind of a powerful card from the Dredge deck in Legacy, and actually it's seen a little bit of modern play too. There's some Dredge-ish decks in there. Some Dark Rituals. This is just the iconic black 1-mana card. Duress as well. And then Demonic Tutor, a lot of powerful cards in these decks. One thing I really like about these old duel decks is that they're just like so much more powerful than some of the newer ones. It's just like some of the best cards in black and white, you know, in Magic's history. Whereas opposed to some of the newer ones are more, you know, tuned with like a weaker power level. And then last we have Garruk versus Liliana, which this is like a first duel deck where it was actually like dueling, I guess you could say. Where, because like Jace versus Shandra, I don't think in the storyline they were really like dueling each other. But here, Garruk and Liliana are actually kind of enemies. So this is the first duel deck where it's like really just two enemies facing off against each other, and that's pretty cool. And actually, we see that with like, you know, Garruk Apex Predator and the Veil Curse and stuff. Like Garruk and Liliana has really been being played up a lot in the storyline. And this is printed like, you know, years and years ago, and started it off with like the duel between Garruk and Liliana. And one thing about Garruk is, at one point in time, he was the best Planeswalker ever printed. Just want to point that out. He was at one point in time just the best Planeswalker, and now that's just definitely not true. But there was a point where he was #1. It's got some Wild Mongrels in this deck, just a super powerful card from yesteryear. Probably wouldn't be very good anymore, but you know, we can still reminisce about how awesome it was. Rancor, really powerful. Invigorate. This is now just kind of this card went from not really being anything, now it's just this super powerful card in like Legacy with that Infect deck. So just really awesome card here. Serrated Arrow is one of my personal favorites. I like this one. Same with Harmonize, but yeah, this is just pretty green deck, if I had to describe it. I would say it's pretty green. But let's look at Liliana and see what she's got here. And Liliana's one of my favorite planeswalkers, especially Liliana of the Veil. It's just super powerful. But I liked Liliana Vest too. I was one of the people who played a lot of Liliana Vest when she very first came out in Lorwyn. She didn't see that much play, but I played her anyway. You would think after opening 7 of these I would figure it out, but I'm just real dumb, so we never figured it out. Yeah, so there's good old Liliana Vest with some different art. Skeletal Vampire, I played a lot of this card in my Teachings decks back during Time Spiral. Just really cool card. And then good old Mutilate with alternate art as well. It's not the face grab Mutilate. It's just a bunch of cats and stuff, I guess, about to get mutilated. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, this is just a pretty typical black deck. We have Fleshbag Marauder, which, if you didn't know, is the best art of all time. Just throwing that out there. Just the actual best art of all time. You definitely get that as part of this old Garruk versus Liliana set. Twisted Abomination, I played a lot with that card. Just really cool card to be able to cycle it and then play it late in the game when you draw it. And then there's good old Corrupt. Just every black deck's got to have some Corrupts to go over the top and kill your opponent. So yeah, this is you know, pretty cool deck. Good old Liliana versus Garruk. But yeah, that's it. Now we're down to just a couple of dice here. Well, as you can see, we have successfully unboxed the box as it is empty, and there are a bunch of Duel Decks lying all over the place. Thank you all for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe below if you're interested in seeing more of this kind of video. Let us know in the comments what you thought. What's your favorite Duel Deck out of these 4? Personally, mine is Elves versus Goblins, but I can see an honorable mention to Garruk versus Liliana, maybe an honorable mention to Divine versus Demonic, no honorable mention to Jace versus Shandra. No one likes that, except maybe you guys. I don't know. Let us know. If you want to see more of this kind of video, there's other unboxing videos over here you can click. Definitely a wizard can make things appear on your screen. But again, thank you for watching. I'm BBD. Make sure to check out some more videos.